As we get into what's already shaping up to be a record NFL season when it comes to sports betting and sports fans of all kinds flocking to Connecticut's new sports books and gambling options right on their cell phones, we're talking to two special investigators who help regulate the industry here in Connecticut. Joining me now, Rob Tassinelli and Jeff Hackala from the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection. Thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Yes, thank you. And on behalf of Commissioner Caffarelli and the entire department, thank you for having us.
Of course.
Thank you.
So we'll start off. For those who don't know, and either of you can jump in to help answer this, what does the Department of Consumer Protection actually do?
We are the regulators for the state. We regulate many industries, gaming being one of them. We ensure the integrity of gaming, and we do that through many avenues, such as in investigating patron complaints and working with our criminal investigators and state police when we get complaints that involve illegal operations in the state.
Wow. So you said
to add to that, we want to provide a safe and fair marketplace.
Absolutely.
For all consumers, and not put an undue burden on any businesses who are, following the rules.
And you both specifically work in the gaming division, correct?
Correct. We are both special investigators with the gaming department.
Gotcha. So it's only been a few years since sports betting was actually legalized here in Connecticut, but it's obviously taken off both in person and online. So let's start with in-person gambling. We just saw a new sports book open at Excel Center and another already being set up in Bridgeport. When a casino or a venue wants to do something like this, what does the state require of them?
Well, currently, there are only 3 legal licensed major wagering licensees in the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
You have both of the casinos, and then you also have the Connecticut Lottery Corporation.
Okay.
Connecticut Lottery Corporation has partnered up and with retail venues such as Winners and Arugas, and now the XL that just opened in Hartford last month. Those are provide 10 retail locations where you can go and bet in person. And coming up, I believe early January 2024, they will be adding their 11th at the Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport. And that'll be 11 out of 15 that they are allotted to open in Connecticut. So
they still 4 more that they can open then after this, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
And what's the difference, I'll turn to you for this one, between those wagering contracts, as you just said, those big 3, and then now these, what will be 15 smaller ones?
So the 2 tribal governments partnered up. One partnered with FanDuel, the other partnered with DraftKings.
Okay.
And the CLC partnered with SportsTech/CLC. To set up the retail locations.
Okay.
So the tribes have their separate retail locations. We're just looking at the retail locations outside of the reservation.
Gotcha. So do you see a lot of people betting in person here in Connecticut? Are there any sort of numbers, or would you maybe say this is an easier market to regulate?
I think we see both.
Okay.
You see in person and you see online. The 3 master wagering licensees have partnered up with online gaming providers, with DraftKings, FanDuel, and Play Sugar House. And through that, they offer online platforms. But there are people who still like to wager in person, and that's where the retail locations come in. It gives them another opportunity if they're not comfortable with working with the technology.
Gotcha. So then when it comes to the technology, obviously this is making it a lot easier and more accessible for people. You deal with apps a lot through this, right?
Yes, we deal with it. I'd say the majority of sports wagering takes place online through mobile devices or through your computer, your web browser.
And what are the main things you've needed to regulate and enforce when it comes to specifically online?
Well, there's certain things that we require. We require two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication for all online accounts, and that's really to protect the consumer here. We also do other things to protect the consumer. We use independent laboratories to test and certify all of the games and all of the equipment. And we also require comprehensive identity verification tools. And these are all done to protect the consumer in Connecticut.
Gotcha. Anything else?
Yeah, well, just to add on to what he was saying, the comprehensive identity check, that makes sure that you're not allowing proxy betting, or it makes sure that you're geolocated within the state,
right,
too. So these apps can't operate outside of our state.
So that the person who's physically in Connecticut
correct,
betting is the actual person that says who they are that
correct,
is placing that bet.
Correct.
Got it. So you regulate the gambling platforms themselves to hopefully keep, addiction at bay, but we know that it still happens, and we hear all the time that a few bets can eventually turn into a real problem. Are there any things you tell people to watch out for, or any signs people should be aware of?
Well, we say play responsibly. Educate yourself on how to play the games. Set time and money limits for yourself, and take breaks. And beyond that, there's also other tools available. So some of the online game providers, they have cooling off periods where you can sign up if you want to take a break. And then the state has a self-exclusion website where if you want to take a break for 1 year, 5 years, or you decide you don't want to wager anymore, you can permanently self-exclude yourself from gaming in the state of Connecticut.
Gotcha. And these apps and in-person venues as well have to display help for anyone who's struggling. The DCP and state lottery work, really hard to get this information out there. What would you say to someone who is either hesitant to use the help, or maybe even doesn't know that it's out there or available?
Well, in each retail location, there's signage, there's business cards, there's pamphlets. On the apps, when you log in, there's help at the bottom.
Okay.
And all the websites you can go to, like ccpg.org or ct.gov/self-exclusion. Then you can, there's plenty of tools there that can help people out.
Great.
Yeah. And I just want to add, the Connecticut Council on Problem Gaming, ccpg.org, that you can go there. They provide a 24/7 helpline. So if you feel like you need help, or you know somebody who maybe needs a little help, that's a resource that you can go to at any time.
Great. And the state is obviously encouraging even more plans for sports books and betting. I know you were saying there's still multiple retail locations available. Connecticut-based ESPN as well is expanding into, game gambling, but there are, of course, a lot of people who say this could be the state choosing profits over people, as we see something fun potentially turn into addiction. So I'll say for both of you to answer a little bit of this from your perspectives and roles. How is the state, and specifically the DCP, keeping consumer safety top of mind as you're also working to help expand and regulate this industry?
Well, again, we're the regulators. We're here to protect the Connecticut consumer. And that's really important because we have the 3 licensees here that we regulate. And there are a lot of offshore or out-of-state gaming operators who may pose as legitimate operators. But when you go with them and you go outside of the state, you're kind of leaving some things to chance. You're taking a risk of your personal information being exposed. You're taking a risk that you may win and not get paid. So you really have no legal recourse if you go outside of the 3 legal licensed operators here in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, like he said, if you go to a non-regulated online game operator, you file a complaint with us, we can't help you. But if you bet one of the legal sites, we're going to look into it with all the tools we have and help you out as best as we can.
Perfect. Yep. Well, thank you both so much for being here. That's all the time we have, but we really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
I appreciate it.
A lot of work coming up for you two, as always. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's still more to come here on The Real Story. Representative Corey Paris is here to talk about how student loan debt in Connecticut has some of the highest in the country. And with payments restarting, that means some serious financial stress. The state's already passed some solutions. We'll break down your options, plus what can be done in the future when it comes to education affordability.